Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to some more Let's Play the Warrior of Wrath 3 The Wylde. Holy crap, viewer, welcome back. In the last episode, we started playing this amazing game again from the Commodore 64 era, 1982. The game I played when I was probably close to about 10 years old, and most of you probably weren't even alive when this game was released. We've so far managed to do okay. We've been gaining lots of experience points, and we have a bunch of bounty on some of the wolves that we've killed. About 1,000 or 1,300 or so, maybe 1,100. But we need to kill like another, probably close to 12 or 14 wolves if we want to be able to get enough cash without having to carry around those coins at one of the trading posts by turning in that bounty. J-Dirk, our sword-swinging, dagger-throwing murderer of anything that moves when he decides to actually stick around and fight it, is level 6. And he is looking okay. We're still in great danger if something crits our neck and chops our head off. But otherwise, we can take a hit from most of our other body parts at this moment. We are in the center of the map, and we are hoping to get somewhere over here today to these other two caches, and we'll see what's inside them. At the very least, we'll hit up one of them. We might decide to wait on the other one until we're back from the treasure. Now, we can't successfully do this battle until we get either a magic sword or we get, say, a magic wand of some sort. And a single magic sword might not be enough because of how fragile they are. But we haven't seen a weapon break yet. Hopefully we won't during this gameplay. And let's get going. So, we've already woken up. I think we already ate breakfast. But if we haven't, let's find out if we haven't. We'll be told that we haven't eaten breakfast, as we'll sustain 1 body point of damage otherwise. Alright, we did. Okay. So we're passing through some forests for a bit. The ground is scorched here. Let's see, do I have some woods music? I do. Okay, so let's keep on going through this forest across the river here. Maybe we'll find something that actually has some treasure out here today. 1 mountain lion. They're faster than normal lions, but they're not as dangerous, if I recall correctly. Oops, and I'm running in the wrong direction. I meant to run south. I thought we would actually try to fight it. So, we'll try killing this in melee. Let's see how successful we'll be at this. Remember that now that I'm level 6, I'm going to not... Sorry, if I throw a weapon, a dirk or a spear, then at the end of the combat, one of those dirks or spears will be left behind. This will make it a little tougher for us. Let's turn south. And I'm going to aim and get ready for this mountain lion. Now, I don't think we did swing at wolves, I think. What, did we? No, I think we did once. So, bipedal... This is wrong. That's one thing to say. Creatures with 4 legs. Bipedals are 2, Tim. Creatures with 4 legs, you have to target... If you want to target one of their legs, because they don't have arms, and they don't have normal legs, you got to target their 4 legs or their back legs, or hind legs. So we could say hit right hind leg, for example. And we sheared it off, sending it cartwheeling through the air. Blood everywhere. No advancement. No treasure. Alright, well, let's keep going. 4 ghouls and treasure. The first treasure that we've seen. Let's go ahead and defeat these things. We have enough movement points that we don't have to really stand and duke it out with them if we're clever. Now that's ghoul, I think, 2 in front of us. So let's aim. Increase our chance. Oh. Yeah, let's aim. Increase our chance to hit it. As the other ghouls draw closer through the woods. I'm going to also use some force. I don't know if these things stack. I certainly hope they do, because we're about to swing at this ghoul. Let's hit its left leg. 8 points of damage. Only 1 defense. Hacked it to bits. Remember, ghouls, I think, are one of the opponents that have a special effect when they hit us. When we were struck by the warriors in the last episode, you'll note that we did not actually suffer any negative effects from being struck. If something would have hit us that does have such an effect, though, we would have had... let's move north, actually. Oh. It's gonna go north. Let's aim. And we're gonna aim again. Aiming twice I don't think does anything else for you. We're gonna extra force. And now we're going to hit it. Let's hit it in the head. BAM! Sliced it clean off. So I don't want to move next to it. I want it to move next to me. So we'll aim. And we'll use some force. And now we'll hit its right arm. Not bad. Not bad at all. You might be wondering, why use armor at all, Tim, when the action points are so important? It's a good point. I don't know. I wish I had a better answer for you. Whenever I played this game and I learned that like armor really weighs you down, even when I was really young, I didn't see the point of wearing armor early on. As we level more, we will gain more movement points. And when we have about 15 movement or so, I think around level 9, it's at that point that we will go and wear armor again, which will probably reduce us to about 9 or 10 movement points total. 200 pieces of treasure. Okay, and it's raining. Do I have rain? I should have more... Oh, I do. We have Rain Woods. We'll play this music. Or sound effects. Okay, so let's get that 200 treasure. And facts. Oh, look at that, everyone. Our movement's 12. Despite the fact that we picked up 200 treasure. Okay, that's useful. And our experience is such that I suspect we might be leveling up. Next battle. I'm going to save the game again. Let's see. In the past, ages before snapshots existed for your Commodore 64 emulators, you had to save characters to a different disc. And we could still actually do that. The game supports it. My emulator supports it. But I'll just use the images instead. It's faster. 1 griffin. No treasure. I've not fought a griffin before. Or rather, it's been a long time since I had to. It sounds like it's probably rather dangerous. And since it has no treasure with it, I'm not going to even bother fighting it. We will instead run away from this one. Probably a good spear in the proper place embedded in it would kill it. But I don't want to leave a spear behind. And since it has no treasure, I don't care. So it's still raining outside, we'll pretend. It's not a downpour, so we're not being kept here. Oh, it is still raining, in fact. So the order which things occur is you move a space, the hour advances, you do a battle, and then if there was any weather that would affect you as well in this space, that occurs afterwards. Night has come, and we have camped. Nothing disturbs our rest. Dawn comes, and we can travel again. Alright, so let's first click on the screen. Go ahead and eat. And we are aiming to get down here. Oh, and heads up, speaking of eating, I am cooking dinner. So I might have to leave and go and get it from the oven. But there'll be a small break when I do that, but we'll be back. Five wolves. No treasure. Still, 5 wolves is a good amount of them. I like seeing 5 wolves, because that's another 500 potential treasure when we go back to a town. I'm going... I would like to speed this up a bit. I'm going to move to the east. Now, I don't want to be surrounded, so I'm going to run... Not south. Let's run north. Do not misclick. This was one of the first games that I experienced misclicking with. It's been a thing gamers have had to worry about for decades. This was one of the first ones. You don't want to type S when you mean N. Not in this game. Alright, so... We're gonna... I think we'll try to melee all of them. Let's move south. And we've got a little choke point here we can use. Since they can only really reach me one at a time. Let's aim. Okay, let's hit its left foreleg. Every time we level, our chance to hit is going up, I think. And I think the damage we do goes up. There's no stats, obviously, as you've seen. There's nothing like strength or dexterity. There's just those fight and defense values. Let's hit its... its body. Still alive. 4 hit points left. Missed my head. Let's hit its body again. 24 points of damage. And now it's defeated. I believe when you hit the body and you lower just the overall body points of the creature, you are... I think you're also reducing all the hit points for all its other body parts. Let's hit its left foreleg. I like that part of the body. I don't have one of it, so it's kind of weird. So you're going to move to the side. I'll move north. I don't know why he did that. Let's turn east, because now he's facing the wrong way. Hit the right hind leg. South. Let's move east. Turn south. Hit left foreleg. Alright, not bad. 5 more wolves defeated. Made a new level. No treasure. We didn't throw anything, I think, right? We did not. Okay. How we looking now? Facts. Still 12 movement. 5 attack value, 9 fight value. Okay, let's save the game again. Shot image. I don't think you guys can actually see that when I do that, which is good. Okay. So we don't want to end up at the trading post. We've killed something like 16 or so wolves at this moment. Oh, treasure isn't even listed in my inventory. We have 14 treasure on us, so we need about another 11 wolves or another 11,000 treasure before I'm willing to walk into a trading post. All the coins we will earn from the bounty, we must collect right then and there when we walk into the location. So I'd rather avoid doing so at the moment. Plains again. A wyvern. There is some treasure here. A wyvern, I think, is one of the creatures that you have to be careful of because it can poison you if it hits you. I think the poison will just kill you if you fail to save against it. I don't think you get sick, for example. Let's turn east. We do have more movement than it. Get extra force. But I'm going to let it get a little closer to me. It's still too far away. So I'm going to type pause. Which basically passes, as you can see, yep, a bunch of our turn. We'll hit X. Okay, it's within range. Let's throw a spear at it. Maybe we can get it in its neck. The body. Okay, it's 8 armor, 28 hit points left overall. Let's throw another one. Let's throw another spear. The right foreleg for 2 points of force. Still not enough. Hurling everything we've got at this thing. The head for 12. That might kill it. Still alive. It's angry, and it's charging us. J. Dirk. Right hind leg for 10. 5 protection. Still alive. Right hind leg for 12. 5 defense. Woo! Filled it with daggers and spears. And we won. We didn't level. And the treasure. 100 pieces of treasure. Really? Okay, well, that was it. So, more treasure. We haven't gotten anything really powerful from treasure. We're just picking up coins at the moment. Okay, so I gotta drop something permanently now, according to my rules. So, we're going to be a Dirk. Be the Dirk, J. Dirk. Leave one of those behind. Alright, 4. Once we... Oh! Is that right? I said B. What did B do? B's drop. Okay. Once you... I think what you... Oh, no. We can't pick it up. Okay. So let's... Well, we're going to be Dirk again. Okay, there we go. So, we still lost. We're down to 4, right? Yes, we are. Okay. Alright. So, we dropped another... We dropped a dagger. Movement's still 12. Let's move south. Night has come, and you have camped. You are visited during the night. Okay, 3 wolves. And they're not carrying any treasure with them either. We're very close to the stash from the wizard, so I'm looking forward to replacing our current sword with whatever sword we get from that. Our current one's probably dangerously low in durability. I suspect there's a secret value for daggers, spears, or dirks when it comes to how often they'll break. We have yet to even see one of our weapons break. I'm gonna move south. Hit right hind leg. Turn north. Let's go for its head. Man, no wonder why the bounty's on wolves. There are so many of them. Turn to the south. Use some force. Aim. Hit its left foreleg. Good job, J. Dirk. Wolf 2 defeated. Counter's over. And we did not level. There was no treasure. Okay. Let's head to the mountains for a bit. Oh! Okay! So, I forgot to eat! Great! We took 1 body point of damage. And as such, actually, it doesn't look like any of my normal defenses were lowered, despite the fact I forgot to eat. We will continue to take 1 point of damage every time we move if we do not eat. So let's go ahead and do that. Another cache of the wizard. We can get useful items here. 3 tigers. Oh, wow. Okay. So the tigers are guarding treasure of a different sort. This is not the treasure that is normally here in the cache, though I'm pretty sure that's here too. We will try to kill the tigers. Tigers are very fast. I think they are the fastest enemy we can fight in this game. And I am willing to use thrown weapons to kill them. Let's see how much this one likes a dagger. In its throat! Or its left hind leg. It likes that. It doesn't care overly much. Let's see how much it likes another one. In the left foreleg for 20 points. That is the end of it. Pinned it to the ground. Probably it drowned to death inside the river. We gotta be careful with tigers. Let's run north. They have 18 movement. They can swing at us 2 times during a turn. And they can do decent damage. And we don't have armor. How to do this? I'll move south. Turn to the north. We'll throw a spear at this one. Hopefully it does great damage and kills this. Otherwise, we're going to probably be swung at. That's not good damage. And they're almost both on top of us. Let's aim for its right hind leg. Okay, that's the one where our spear hit it. Let's run to the north. Move north again, J-Dirk. Turn south. Throw another spear. Oh, that's quite dead. Very nice. The encounter is over. Checking for advancement. You made a new level. These things had a ring of light, a wand of fire, 200 pieces of treasure. Nice! Some magical equipment. Let's get everything we can. We'll drop another one of... I think we'll drop a spear this time around. Nothing there. Okay, so let's eat. Let's look at how much weight we're carrying now. 700 treasure. And we've killed... I don't know how many I've killed for the wolves. We've killed... I think we need like another 5. Is there anything else here? Nothing else here. Okay, so let's begin dropping some food. Because we probably have a ton of it right now. Yeah, 31. We don't need so much. You want to go back down to about 20. With a wand of fire, though, we have what we would need to defeat the mummies. So we don't really need a magic sword at this point. Oh, let's also make sure I remember to drop a spear. We'll drop like maybe 4 more foods. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Let's go to my inventory again. 18 days of food. Okay, that's acceptable. So, how's my facts look? Still 10 movement. We do have 2 swords and extra shield. We don't really need those anymore. So let's drop a sword. We'll drop a shield. We'll fetch our sword. And fetch a shield. There we go. Back up to 12 movement again. Alright, let's save the game. And we're marching towards that treasure. Actually, first, what did we get from this actual... Oh, we got another potion of etherealness. There was another one here. Interesting. It's completely random. I think I've gotten, like, healing potions from this, rings of protection, and so on. we should also probably wear that Ring of Light. Wear light. Rings have to be equipped on your fingers. I think you're allowed to equip 2 of them. Wearing a ring, I don't believe, actually is enough to have it affect you. You need to then, I believe, use the ring when you want. I think light might protect you from some undead, make it harder for them to hit you. Alright, well anyway, I think we've got what we need. So, we're gonna... 2 dwarves and treasure of some sort. You can barely see the dwarves, but I see them. There's a dwarf here. And another one here. I remember being cut down by dwarves and their axes in the past, but we'll fight them. Four dirks, 1 spear. Let's turn to the east. And, well, we'll move east. Okay, let's hit its left leg. Ooh, that's not a good amount of damage. Hit us for 6 points in the chest. Our shield stops 2, coat stops 1. We're still alive. Let's hit him in the right arm. Uh-oh. Let's move north. We'll take advantage of the fact that we have more movement than them. Hit his right arm. He hit my right arm for 3 points, but our shield and coat will stop that. Let's hit his left arm. All of this so that I don't throw an item, because I don't want to have to leave something behind. Oh, do I want to swing at... He's going to get you to swing back at me. Let's aim. And let's hit him in the head. That should down him. Encounter is over. Checking for advancement. No level. They do have, however, a Wand of Cold and 200 pieces of treasure. Let's get all that. And I think we have enough money. Have we killed 21 wolves? I think we have. Let's go and turn in some of this treasure, and we'll see if we have enough to get a magic sword. Oh, we're now out of the wood, the mountains. Let's go back to the plains. 4 dogs, no treasure. Dogs are very fast, 15 movement. They're not very powerful, though, and they have almost no body points. I'm not gonna... I'd rather not even fight them. But I don't think we're really gonna have a choice. I think we're gonna have to at least kill one of these. Let's turn east. Hit it in its right foreleg. The bounty can be on dogs, wolves, dire wolves, bears, and cave bears, if I remember correctly. Alright, we'll move east. Oh, I can hear my oven going off. But I think we can probably do this fight, and then I'll put a small break here. Let's turn south. Hit its left hind leg. There's no morale in the game. That will occur if many of these creatures are killed in a row. They'll still stick it out. There are things like a Wand of Fear or a Ring of Terror, and if those affect an enemy and the enemy doesn't make its saving throw, they will flee the fight after that. Alright, everyone. We didn't level, and there was no treasure. Alright, so I'll be right back. I'm going to go ahead and check on my food. All right, everyone. I think we're going. Let's go ahead and pick up where we left off. Right. We are about to walk into the trading post and see how much bounty we've gotten from the wolves that we've killed. Now, if I haven't gotten exactly 3,000 or slightly over it, I'm just gonna reload this game. Let's walk up there. There's 2 wolves guarding the trading post. Well, this'll, I think, pretty much guarantee I've got the 3,000 coins that I want. So let's go ahead and get ourselves set to this. I probably should be playing more combat music. Let's see. Let's lower this a bit and go ahead and play some other old music from a different game. Released 11 years later. My goodness. How much further did we come from when Betrayal at Krondor was released and this game was? Alright, so these are just wolves. I'm not going to throw a weapon at them. I don't think we need to. Hello, you lined up right with me. Let's see how much your left leg liked doing that. Not very much, it looks like. How about your friend's left hind leg? Still not enough. Well done, J-Dirk. No advancement. No treasure. A fetid odor fills the air. Okay, and we are now going to be at a trading post, I think, if I move west. You're at a trading post. Your bounty was worth 2,000 gold. Uh-oh. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that was enough. Oh! We're 100 treasure shy. And because we're 100 treasure shy, our movement is reduced to 4 because we're carrying all this gold with us. Alright, so I'm going to not accept that. That's a shame. But we'll just reload the game. Okay, so we know, so let's move north again. Yep, and it's RNG, so we didn't find the other group of wolves. I would like to get a magic sword if we can. So we need 300 more treasure. Either 3 wolves need to be killed, or we need to find 300 more bucks. So we're gonna kind of hang around the trading post and see if we can find another thing. Okay, nothing disturbed our west. Our west! Let's go ahead and eat. And we don't want to walk south, because we don't want to walk in that trading post. 3 ghouls, no treasure. I think we'll... Yeah, I think we'll fight him. Could use more experience points. So, in the meantime... Why don't... I gotta manage all this stuff. Let's see. I have written down something to talk about, because I don't think you guys probably care very much about the strategery involved in playing the Warrior of Rastri, the Wylde, in the grand scheme of things. I don't think the vast majority of you are probably going to play this game, right? Let's be honest. So if I'm going to make this entertaining, let's talk about something different. But first, we're going to hit this ghoul in its left leg. I'm going to try to talk about all the various other Commodore 64 games that I have played since I was a child. And I do mean a child, since I was like 9, 8 or so. And there's been quite a few. There's been quite a few, but not nearly as many as you would think. So first off, I suppose I should get this out of the way. The Commodore 64 and I spent most of our time together back when I was, well, a kid. As such, I didn't play any of the games that that you would not want your child playing on the Commodore 64. Even back then, in the 1980s, people were busy making porn games. they weren't very good. Like, at all, but there's a few out there that I'm aware of now, because when I went looking for ROMs 20 years ago, I bumped into a few of them, and downloaded a few. Like, how awful was this game? They're pretty awful. But good for them, man. Good for them. Right? I think, was it discovered recently? Like, they dug up some ancient ruins someplace out in the Middle East or something. This was a few years ago. Completely undisturbed, and they went inside, and what was inside was paintings on the walls, and what those paintings were of naked people having sex. So, people want to look at other people do the nasty, and they've been wanting to do this since we've been created. So I can't blame people for making these games. I had no clue such things like that were in existence. We're not going to talk about any of those, though. We're going to keep it clean here. We're going to saw off that thing's left arm. So, it's... Oh, my weapon just broke. Okay, so let's fetch a spear. Fetch spear. And I think we can use that in melee combat, but I'm not sure. So, oh crap. I'm gonna X. That sounded nasty. Let's go ahead and aim. And let's hit its left leg. Okay, we can use a spear as a melee weapon. The counter is over. We made a new level. No treasure. So we lost our only weapon. Yes. Well, that's not true at all. We lost a sword. You can't throw swords, to my knowledge. So it's a good thing we didn't also get rid of both our spears. I think you can probably wield a dagger, a dirk, as a melee weapon if you need to. Our movement style also up to 13. Very nice. Of course, it helps that we lost a sword. We still need another $300, so let's keep moving around. You know what we could do? We could head towards that other stash. All right, anyway, so a game I played in the past, and that we're playing today, is obviously the Warrior Wrath 3 The Wylde. And I like this game. It's not one that I fire up very often. The last time I played it, well, was last week. And I'm re-recording it again, so obviously I don't mind spending several hours playing this game. But before then was 8 years ago when I last recorded it and uploaded it to my channel. But I had played it, I think, one or two, a mummy. Okay, hold on. We need some combat music for this. We can kill this, but we need a different weapon. We need our wand of fire. So let's store our spear. We will fetch our fire wand. And we move north. Okay, so we'll talk more about C64 games in a few seconds. We're going to run east towards it. Mummies are very dangerous. They have a decent amount of armor. And aside from wands of fire, and I think rings of fireballs, I don't think they can be harmed by too much of anything else. Might be wrong, though. Disintegration wands, wands of cold, they also might be able to destroy them. But we're going to use our wand of fire. We need to make it come a little closer to us so it's within range of this weapon. This is an AoE weapon. So I'm going to pause. Okay. And I think we just type UFI. And we're going to slow the speed down so you guys can watch the effect. The wand of fire is an AoE weapon. It's short, but it affects a 3x3 square. It resisted, so we didn't kill it. The encounter is over. Checking for advancement. There was no advancement. We didn't gain a level. The treasure consists of 300 pieces of treasure. That was it. Okay. So let's store our wand of fire. Oh, we'll increase the speed. We'll fetch our spear. And I think that gives us what we need to purchase a magic sword. So we're going to go and get one of those. The sky is overcast. Trading post. $1,800 worth of treasure. Yes, we've a... Really? We don't have the money. Okay. Do I want to reload again? How bad is my way down? Our movement's 7. We'll keep this. We'll keep this. And we'll just hunt. I want to stick around the trading post. 4 wolves. 4 wolves, no treasure. But this is good. We'll kill these wolves, and we will get the 400 bounty. We go back. We buy a magic sword. We buy a normal sword, and we're good. Alright, so... Anyway, I have fond memories of this game. And playing it now, although it's not the most balanced game in the world, if we walked out of the city with, let's say, 12 dirks, and no armor, maybe a coat, we would probably have an even easier time winning. We just throw dirks at everything, no matter how far away it is at us, and we would kill them. And then we eventually get magic weapons or what have you. We could pretend we're playing an archer, if we did that, for example. And I think I will throw a dirk to help us with this fight. But it's a quick game. You can beat this game in like 3 hours or so. And it's fun. And you can do challenges, I suppose. Now, I'm making basically excuses as to why I like this game, of course. But there's a few things I feel are important to remember when we're playing a game like this, which doesn't happen very often. This game was made in 1982. There weren't very many games like this that I'm aware of that were produced back then, in 1982. There might have been. I can't think of very many of them. The next ones I'm going to talk about are Legacy of the Ancients and The Legend of Black Silver, and those came out in like 1985. I don't know when Ultima came out, the first Ultima, or Ultima 2, maybe around this time. I think they were out for the Commodore 64. In any case, overall, I thought this was a good game, especially for what was available back then. I'll move north. Uh-oh. It's going to turn to face us? But we still get a chance to hit it first. I play these games for not only because I don't mind playing it. It's fun for what it is. It's not very grindy, not overall. We're not doing... While the battles themselves are somewhat similar, depending upon what you're fighting. I suppose very similar if you're using dirks and spears all the time. It requires some thought into how to position yourself, right? And I like that. And the most important thing I think for me, though, if I'm being honest, is that the nostalgia I have of playing these games. We now have enough cash to buy a magic sword. And we'll buy a normal sword as well while we're here. Alright! And we have an elf! Our first elf. Elves are very quick, and they are very accurate, if I recall correctly. And for some reason, our movement's still 7. Why is our movement still 7? It should be 16. Alright, oh, it is 16. Okay. I'm not going to fight the elf. We're just going to run. We're actually faster than the elf is. That's pretty amazing. You have escaped. The encounter is over. Checking for advancement. You didn't level. There was no treasure. You're getting hungry. Alright, let's eat. And we will store our spear. And fetch our sword. Alright! We have enough days of food. I think we can make it to the X, so let's do that. I have fond memories of these games, and the hours I would play them for. So long ago. A single ghoul. We'll kill it. It was my first experience learning strategy, thinking about how best to deal with a enemy AI in a unique rule set. And although, as we've seen, it's not balanced all that well, it's still kind of, it requires you to pay attention, is the best way I can describe it. Let's aim twice and use some force. And what I learned stayed with me throughout the years. Obviously, like, I remembered well enough how to play this game. I remembered what different weapons and items do. I remembered how some enemies are dangerous and others are not, and so on. So oh right, we're still wounded. We got hit in the chest from a wolf a few, like maybe last episode or so, or at the beginning of this one. So occasionally I want to fire up these games and remember, what was it like when I was young? How many people would have expected, based on what was released back in 1982, the extent to which video games would be played today, right? Games are, I think, the most... I don't know how to proper way to phrase this. They make a lot of money, or they can. Esports is very popular. Everyone plays video games, or almost everyone does, these days. It's not shunned like it had been when I was growing up. 2 wolves, no treasure. All right, we will deal with these wolves. Oh, I should have bought some armor. Do we have any treasure on us? We have no treasure. At this point in the game, we can probably... Yeah, we can probably wear armor. I'll move north. We'll use this tree for a little bit of cover. I'll aim twice. We'll aim again. If this one runs forward, it's what I want it to do. Good. Hit its left hind leg. And 8 years ago, I think I was the only channel who had a play of this game up on their channel. I think there's probably a few people by now that have uploaded themselves playing through this game. There were 2 other Warrior of Wrath games earlier than this one. I think this one was the last one created. The other 2 took place, if I recall correctly, in dungeons, and were a little more simple than this one. So, man, but if I stop to think about that, that means I think they took longer than a month or 2 to make these. So, they would have been released in like 1981 or so. I don't remember when Pong was produced. My goodness, so long ago. Anyway, the idea of me sitting down and... when I was able to sit down for hours and play this game, the Wylde, I loved it. I felt like I was an adventurer. I'd go outside and play outside as if I was in the Wylde, and I'd move myself certain amount of steps outside and swing my hockey stick at the air and stuff like that. I was completely in love with tactical video games from back then. Turn-based strategy games of all sorts. And when The Legacy of the Ancients came out, That was the first game I purchased with money. It gifted to me for my first Holy Communion. A lot of money by today's standards. I was given $50 from my grandparents. And that would probably be the equivalent of about, like, probably close to 100 or 150 today. Easily. This would have been back, 1980s? About 100, maybe 120 or so. Legacy of the Ancients itself cost $30 and was for sale at Toys R Us. Back when America, I think, had Toys R Us's. I don't think they're here in America any longer. Or at least a great many of them shut down. And they had a single row in their store dedicated to Commodore 64 games. These had 5 1/4 floppy disks in them. They looked like record sleeves. If you're familiar with what a record is, maybe you don't even know what that is. If you're into DJing, you'll know what a record is, but maybe otherwise you don't. I'm pretty sure you know what a CD is. Imagine like a really big CD, a really large CD. So inside the sleeve case of the disc was the actual spot where information was written, which would look somewhat like a record. In any case, when I saw Legacy of the Ancients, I knew this was the game for me. It had a world that looked like a higher resolution version of this game, and yet I saw pictures of the dungeons, which were 3D. 4 ghouls and some treasure. We'll stick this out. Oh, 1 second. I'm trying to regain my train of thought at the moment. I lost it. Let's see. Okay. Yep. I saw stats on the background, and I remembered the back. To this day, I remember the back of the game's... the sleeve the game came in. Said a reviewer had written down that Dungeon Slime never looked so good. And I completely agreed with that when I was looking at the game. And it ended up being, and today still is, my favorite game ever made. You have your character, you have to manage resources, their hit points, obviously, food. You start rather weak, and you slowly gain strength. The game had 3D dungeons that were 8 levels deep, and I think they were about, I want to say they were like a 32 and 30 by 32 grid. Might have been less than that. I say as I look over on a shelf where all my maps are made. You could, and it ended up it would be really beneficial to you to draft the dungeon. That was lucky it missed us. So I would draw the dungeons that I was in. I would map them out on graph paper. And oh my goodness, 28 damage. Every, 4 years, I redraw those maps. I transfer them to new map paper. It's some sort of ritual that I enjoy doing, because I'm probably going to play the game again on my channel at some point. That didn't kill it. We're not killing these with singular hits here. I'm getting kind of nervous about this. Because I'm going to probably play the game on my channel at some point. When I started my channel, I guess we're going on a little bit of a tangent here. It was my intention to play some games on my channel that no one had heard of, in the hopes that people would be exposed to some of the games that I like that they might not have ever heard of before. There were quite a few, but this was supposed to be back in 2008. So this is when I think there was a dearth of AAA games that people really wanted to play at the time. Like, people were itching for more independent type games. And I was looking forward to uploading the Spirit Engine 2 and Armageddon Empires. And eventually I would do this in 2012 or so for both of those games. But I didn't do so right away. I think Batman Arkham Asylum and Half-Life 1. Half-Life 2 were the first 2 games I think I uploaded to my YouTube channel. Any case, Commodore 64 games would also be one that I really wanted to play and upload, because I was under the belief that no one else would probably play and upload these, or very, very few people would. Let's aim. And, ooh, I'll pause. So back to other Commodore 64 games, and this game, I suppose, is where we were beginning to talk about. So I thought it would be fun to reminisce with you guys about old games like this while playing a game like this, and I've found myself thinking about the strategy involved in playing this game and doing well in it. And I think over the years, I've done a decent job trying to explain what's going on in my head when I'm making the decisions I'm making for the battles I'm in, for all sorts of different video games I've played. And I think it was the Warrior of Wrath 3, The Wylde, that started me down this path to loving turn-based strategy games, RPG games in particular. What were they guarding? 500 pieces of treasure. I guess we'll pick it up. It's weighing us down by 2 movements, so our movement's back down to 14. But I think that's acceptable. We'll hold on to 500 treasure in case I need it. How are we looking on food? 14. That's 7 days if we have to eat twice. I think we'll be okay. Before we begin talking about other games, really quick, you might have noticed that sometimes we move and the hour doesn't change. This is probably because I've pulled up our facts or looked at our inventory. Sometimes when I do that, the game will increment the hour, but it's not actually that hour. The game has accidentally done so. The display says 15, but the actual in-game time did not. It will catch up after we take a movement. You've come to a stream of life. Do you wish to drink? Yes. Fetid odor fills the air. Night has come and we have camped. So, I talked about it briefly, but the best game ever made, and a game I still play on my channel every so often, is Legacy of the Ancients, and I will probably play this game after Thanksgiving. It'll take about 10 to 20 videos, actually, which is very impressive for a game made in 1985 that fit on a double-sided floppy disk to have about 10 to 20 hours worth of gameplay in it. That's amazing to me. There are games released today that don't have that much gameplay in it. It featured 3 3D dungeons, 8 levels deep, as I was talking about, with randomly spawning monsters in them, and you could see them in 3D. And I think they still look good today. Granted, they're not Legend of Grimrock great looking, but I still remember what a Dangler looks like. I still remember Mr. Potato Head, or a giant slug, or the Tendril Colony. Shadowstalker? The giant centipede. My goodness. So long ago. The world itself had various towns, and they sold goods or equipment or services to you with different prices. So you had to kind of pay attention to where you were buying and selling things at. They had several mini-games for gambling. Blackjack and Flip-Flop were those games. And there were mini-games to improve your stats. You fought in the arena with a crossbow, or you held a shield in front of you, and you tried to shoot down fireballs or block them, and this determined what your dexterity or your endurance would be. There were NPCs that you would communicate with, and the Galactic Museum. An elf and some treasure, huh? I'll fight the elf. I'm a little nervous. Elves are quick. But we beat up some tigers, so I think we can handle a single elf. I remember dying to an elf, though, a long time ago with a high-level character. I remember him slicing through my neck and killing me, but we'll fight him. I'm gonna aim. They're fragile, but fast. Hit left leg. And he's dead. These elves aren't like... These are... hold on. A wand of fear. A wand of cold. Fire piece of treasure. We'll get the wand of fear. We'll get the wand of cold. And they don't care about the actual wand of gold. We get the wand of cold. I'm not going to take the treasure. The 500 gold. I don't care. So, let's begin making this a little more interesting for us. I'm going to drop our shield. Let's store the shield. Store our shield. And we will fetch our wand of cold. What's it called? CO. Fetch CO. The wand of cold works like the wand of fire, if I recall correctly. And it's a different color. Same sound effects. I'm going to save my game as well really quick. Anyway, it had all these different towns. You had to kind of learn the layout of the continent you were on. And you had to find these coins, and they could be used in different museum exhibits for you to see what was on display there. There was an overall quest for you as well. This museum appeared in front of you after you had looted the corpse of someone fallen by the side of the road. These mists showed up, and you were taken inside of it, or rather, you were curious enough about it and what on earth this was that you walked inside. And you learned then that one of the items you picked up, a scroll, is some sort of powerful ancient artifact that is capable of destroying the world if it's invoked. And it was it used to be safeguarded, but there must be but even it had been stolen from some place, and you needed to figure out a way to find you were tasked with the objective of finding a way to destroy it. Now, it turns out it was stolen from the museum, and so to this day, I think one of the plot holes in the game is, a wyvern and some treasure. Hold on, we're going to play some combat music for this. So, let's see. Okay, we're going to try to kill this wyvern. We have a wand of cold equipped. That'll be really helpful for us. I'm going to assume it won't be able to withstand it. North again. This music is from Unepic, from the garden stage. Hope it's not too loud. I don't think it is. I hope it's not. I can't really tell because I'm recording at the moment. I am recording, right? I am recording. Yes, I am. Okay, good. Alright, so... how are we doing? So first off, I want to make note of how much experience points we have. I seem to remember that if we use a wand to kill a creature, we don't actually get any experience points from it, but maybe that's incorrect. Use CO? Alright, that's it! that was pretty easy. Let's see what we got for treasure. Oh, 300 gold. Okay, so not very much. And yes, sure enough, we got no experience points for that fight. I think there might be also a maximum level. I don't think we're at it, though. Maybe we are. I don't remember. Looking at our experience points, I'm trying to think of what the max value for this would be. Let me take a quick... let's see. What was the maximum value of an unsigned short? I can't remember off the top of my head. 65,535. Well, that's more than that. Absolutely. So, what was the maximum value of an int? What is that? Oh, quite quite a bit higher. Okay. I just don't... I couldn't remember what it was off the top of my head. I couldn't remember if it was like 655,000 or 65,355. I'm sorry. I'm babbling. I'm trying to think of the variable data type that would have stored the experience points back then in 1982. Anyway, back to Legacy of the Ancients. It had climbing gear, you had different equipment you needed to bypass certain different types of terrain. Different types of terrain had different types of creatures in it. You could also go out on the ocean and sail around for a bit. They had done a fantastic job on that game. And the final battle felt like a real struggle to when you were eventually... So you were captured. Eventually a group of thieves stole the scroll from you, but somehow you managed to survive. You also get a premonition that this ambush, there was no real way for you to avoid it. Press on anyway. So that was the game's way of saying, this is a story thing. So you were going to lose this scroll no matter what. You see the faded tracks of ghouls. You eventually go through these 3 different dungeons, getting stronger every time you go down to the bottom and climb back up, finding new pieces of gear, but in particular lots of cash, and some quest items that you needed to progress the story. Rare coins used to view other museum exhibits, or things to complete other quests to give you other rewards, things that would increase your stats. Eventually, you made it to the island of the Warlock. A wraith! And he's guarding some treasure. We'll try fighting him. Although I don't have a good feeling about this. Wraiths are one of the creatures that you need a magic weapon to harm. And if they touch you, you will be drained levels. I'm going to pause once. And I think he's within range. Let's use our cold. Okay, still effective. Potion of Iron Skin, Wand of Withering, Potion of Fight, Potion of Haste, 400 pieces of treasure. Alright, so we're going to get quite a few of those. And I think that will do. Potion of Fight, Potion of Haste, Potion of Iron Skin, Wand of Cold, Wand of Fear, Wand of Fire, Wand of Withering. Alright, we're good. Let's keep moving. A direwolf guarding some treasure. We haven't fought a direwolf yet. They're slightly stronger than normal wolves. He moved right near me. I'm not actually armed with a shield. It resisted. Good for it. Now we have to run away. Move. Let's run to the west. I think we have to keep running. We are slightly slower than it. Turn east. Use cold. Yeah, the wands don't do any damage. They just outright kill the creature. I just had a little bit of treasure. Anyway, it was my favorite game. The GUI as well, the graphical interface, everything you could want to know was displayed for you. And what wasn't, you could easily access. All the hotkeys made sense. The amount of information displayed on screen was exactly what you needed. And where it was located, nothing got in the way. It was extremely well done. Every aspect of this game. The music as well was great, and it had the best ending of any game I have ever played to this day. It's fantastic, and I still love that game. My favorite game ever made. Some years later, I think 1 year later, it might have been 2, the Dowdy brothers, who made that game, made another one. more or less exactly like it, called The Legend of Black Silver. Instead of having 3 dungeons, it had 5, if I recall correctly. It might have been 6, but I think it was 5. And the dungeons ranged from being 4 floors deep to, I think the biggest one had 16 floors? Or 12 floors. Let's look. 4, 6, 12. 12 floors. It had more creatures, and these creatures had more special powers associated with them. It had 2 massive continents, and one of them would change over time due to the destructive nature of the antagonist in the game. It had 3 different types of castles for you to explore, numerous other people you could communicate with, and the equivalent of 2 museums in it. They had more mini games, I think, right? They had high-low, blackjack, and dragon's wheel this time around. And the mini games for your stats were 3 as well, compared to... Oh, I forgot all about Stones of Wisdom, though, for Legacy of the Ancients. Stones of Wisdom was a game I was obsessed with when I discovered how to play it. It's called Liar's Dice, I believe, in real life. And it was in the Pirates of the Caribbean. A single wolf. We'll kill you, single wolf. Remember, Tim, you're not using your shield. You know what? I'm going to drop our shield. It might free up a little more weight. It did. Quite a bit of it, actually. That should be enough to kill it. So we're just wearing a cloak now. We've got a sword and a wand in our hand. So we're playing some sort of mage now. Okay, let's move east. Oh, crap! Alright, we've come to the location we needed. It's guarded by 5 mummies. Let's store our sword to start. And let's fetch our magic sword. I have no intention of meleeing any of these, but I will if I think we can swing at it and get away from the mummy. And hold on, this is the final battle. We should play some music for this. Alright, let's use our Wand of Cold. Take that, mummy. So I guess we're an Ice Mage at the moment, or an Elementalist. Move east. I think we can hit that one. Turn north. Turn south. I think it's too far away. Let's see. Nope, it's not. I think it's just within our cold range. All right, good. Let's run to the west. Give ourselves a little more space. Run to the south. Wands have charges to them, so we will eventually run out of uses of this wand. If I don't have to melee it, we really don't want to. Woo! All right. You did it! We did it! All right, so we're going to now drop... I think... Let me look at my inventory again. I'm tempted to drop our Wand of Cold. No, we'll hold on to it. All right, let's store our magic sword. By the way, in case you guys are curious, I don't really think there's a big difference between a sword and a magic sword in terms of accuracy or damage done. I think maybe the magic sword might crit a little more often. Like, you might hit hard. It breaks more often, if I recall correctly. But otherwise, they're the same. So it's not like we've picked up an amazingly powerful weapon when we bought that magic sword. We're going to head south to the wizard cache that's down there and get some more food from that location. We could swing by the trading post down there to actually buy some armor. 3 wolves and some treasure, but we'll end up accidentally picking up all the bounty from the wolves we're killing. Well, let's just leave the wolves in peace. We don't need to kill these. Back to Legend of Black Silver. The ending for Black Silver, though, wasn't as good as Legacy of the Ancients, if I'm being quite honest. But if I recall correctly, in Legend of Black Silver, you could continue to play the game after you had beaten it. We'll fight one of these wolves. Better kill it, Tim, because it's going to get a chance to attack you. Hit its left foreleg. We'll move south. Do I want to kill this wolf? I guess we can. I remember being thrilled with The Legend of Black Silver when I was young. I remember getting really frustrated, though, from the dungeons. For some reason, I found them more difficult to map. I don't remember why I do, though. They're not. Not really. There's just more of them. Wow. But back then, when I was originally playing... I guess we're going to beat the game... this game right now, everyone. We're gonna aim to get to the city, rather than get a third video of this in my channel. Four more wolves and some treasure. It's probably just treasure, as opposed to being anything magical. But let's go ahead and kill these. Anyway, I've played The Legend of Black Silver, I think... Oh, well, I have played it twice for my channel, but I think only one playlist of it still exists. And for Legacy of the Ancients, I think I might actually have both playthroughs of it I've done so far on my channel. I might have done a third at some point. We're just going to throw our dirks. We don't need these any longer. They helped us get this far. What were some other games I played when I was super young? Or rather, from Commodore 64, when that was the game system that people clamored over. I don't know if that's accurate, Tim. Action Biker was a game. So this is not an action RPG at all. It was a isometric game where you played a guy riding a motorcycle. And you had a certain amount of time with which to find these glowing boxes that were strewn about this obstacle course. And the boxes unlocked upgrades for your bike, if I remember correctly. Hold on. Sorry, I'm doing a little bit of thinking here about how I want to handle these two wolves. I'll move in this direction. Turn east. I think back then, when I was young, I didn't realize that you could refuel yourself at the fuel station that was present on the map. And so me and my brothers would run out of time. I'm sorry, not run out of time. We would lose the game because we run out of fuel, and we'd end up, I think you had a certain number of lives as well. Turn south. Let's get this dirk. Hit this thing in its right foreleg. I think it. What's a game these days that would it be kind of similar to? The only thing I can think of is it might be a little similar to like Mario 64, because but that was 3D, right? The camera was behind you. That wasn't the case for Action Biker, but the idea was kind of the same. You had an objective. In this case, it was just go and collect these things. It's in Mario 64 was go and collect the stars, so it'd be similar in that regard. Some of them were actually really difficult to get. I remember like this roller coaster. You had to a roller coaster like track you had to be on to get one of the glowing boxes from the top of it. I never was able to beat that game. I wonder if I could these days. I wonder if anyone would care, Tim. I don't think anyone would care. All right, let's see. What's our movement now? 16. Let's get one of those dirks and we'll move on. How are we looking on food? 9 food remaining. I think we do have enough to make it to that stash to the south. So that's what we're going to aim for. The ground is very wet in this area. We're still listening to nighttime music or sound effects. Let's see. Another game was also involved a bike. Would be Paperboy. That was a side-scrolling game. You played the role of a kid doing a paper route, and you wouldn't stop and put the papers in the mailboxes. When you hit the fire button, you would throw the newspaper, and it would move with the same velocity at an outward angle from you on your bike. And so you had to try to time it to land the newspapers either in the mailboxes or on the house's front porch. And there was a wide variety of obstacles set to stop you. And if real life was anything like Paperboy, I would imagine the Paperboys would be paid the most money imaginable, because dogs would attack you. I think there were cannons that would shoot at you. You could be tripped up from people's remote-controlled cars. Cars you drive on the street and smash straight into you. You could think there were aliens in the game, if I remember correctly. There was also a few special things you could do, like not related to just letting the papers where you needed them to go. Like there was a burglar trying to break into a house in one area, and you could knock him out, if I recall correctly, by throwing the paper at the appropriate time. It's a pretty interesting game. I remember the soundtrack to it, and I really liked it. At the very end of a day, if you hit every single newspaper, if you landed every single newspaper in a spot you're supposed to, if you delivered the newspaper to all the houses that you were supposed to deliver it to, you would gain, I think, at least one more house that would become part of your route. And so you would want to hit all the houses again. You make sure that you deliver the papers to them appropriately. Houses that you could deliver papers to were brightly colored. I think they were like yellow and or white. And houses that you were not supposed to deliver papers to were dark in color. I don't remember, but I'm imagining you probably had a limit to the number of papers that you brought with you, similar to being like running out of ammunition or something of that sort. A long time ago. I think at the final stage of, and you would go down like a single stretch of road for several blocks, but you wouldn't turn off into any other road. At the very end, I believe there was like an obstacle course you were a part of. So you had to do a few jumps and something of that sort. I don't remember the ending very well. But that was the game, and it would keep on going, getting tougher and tougher, until finally you ran out of lives, or you were unsuccessful at delivering the papers to any house, and then no houses were on your paper route, and that was the end of you. I was never a real life paperboy when I was growing up and that probably would have been a thing back when I was growing up, actually, when people actually cared about the news and actually read papers. You remember newspapers? Anyway, another game I played when I was really young. All these Commodore 64 games. I guess technically I could play them now. I have, I think, most of these ROMs. I think I have like a few hundred ROMs for Commodore 64 on my computer. Was Impossible Mission. And who can ever forget the introduction to Impossible Mission? The guy says, "Stay a while. Stay forever." And it was one of the few games that actually had like something that sounded like speech in the game. And it was a really insane game. It was a platformer of sorts. You could go back and forth. I'm doing a bad job already describing it. What's a modern game it would be like if you played anything like it these days? Not recently. Because I don't play platformers. I don't play very many platformers on my channel. There's only been like maybe one or two. Well, okay. Imagine... Man, I can't really put it to like anything else I've played. It's a platformer, but the screens don't scroll. And you can go... When you enter a screen, that screen is fixed. Everything on that stage, you'll see right then and... Oh, I guess, like, I want to be the guy? Kind of. There are these elevators, and these elevators lead you to different rooms. And those rooms may connect to other rooms, and those other rooms may also connect to another elevator. And that elevator will bring you up and down, and these rooms may or not be connected to each other. So in the end, you have, like, this maze, or this map, of different connected rooms and these elevators, these long hallways... that you can take to get to room to room. In each room are all these platforms and holes, and if you fall, you can fall off the stage and die, but otherwise there was no falling damage. On these platforms were various objects, like a plant, a potted plant, or a desk with a computer sitting on it. We come to a cache of the wizard, we can get useful items. It's guarded by some harpies, though. There's no treasure. We'll let the harpies... stay here. We'll just run away. Oh yeah, there are winged creatures in the game. I think you might have seen gargoyles before. And I know we've seen wyverns, too. There's goblins, ogres. There's a bunch of creatures we haven't seen in Warrior Wrath 3. And we probably won't, because we're hopefully going to beat the game. On these platforms, they're the only enemy in the game, if I recall correctly, besides running out of time, are these robots, which remind me a bit of Daleks. But they're not quite shaped the same. They've got a single wheel under them. And they can, but do not have to, shoot out this electrical laser ray. The ray is short range, so... and when they use it, like, the entire ray is visible. So you can get an idea of what their possible potential threat range is. And some of them are stationary, others move. Some are timed, they'll turn back and forth at certain intervals, or after a certain amount of time elapses, and others will always try to track you. They can't jump. They're locked to the platforms that they're on. Hold up, we're gonna get everything that's here. Then eat again, just to make sure I did so. Okay. And we probably have too much food. 25 food? Oh, we'll be fine. Alright, let's make our way back home now. You needed to search every single object in every single room. And your character could jump. You would do these flips or cartwheels through the... Cartwheels? No, they were definitely flips. Through the air. And your attempt to reach these platforms. And there were elevators you could activate. You could find some special items when you searched these objects. Something that might, for example, temporarily shut down all of the robots. Or something that may reset all of the platforms that could go up or down in the room, allowing you easier access to get out of a room after you began searching it. You could die if you ended up touching any of the robots, if they zapped you, or you fell off a platform. You had a certain number of lives to try, though, and when you ran out of lives, your game was over, or when the global time for playing the game ended. In these different objects that you were searching were these... I remember as a kid, these strange paintings. And I had no clue what on earth I was supposed to do with these. It turns out that these paintings are actually a puzzle that you're supposed to put together. And they need to be painted the right color, and they need to be facing the right direction. And you have to find a puzzle room to use them in, because they were placed in this grid. We had, my brothers, we had no clue what on earth we were doing with those. All we knew is that we could collect them, so we knew it was important. But we didn't know we needed to collect all of them, and we didn't know we had to assemble them, so we never beat that game. A game that we did know what to do, though, was Beachhead. I have fond memories of this one. You led? That's the proper thing to say, probably. It was an attack on a enemy island. And you started, if I recall correctly, it's been so long. I think you started out in the ocean on a battleship, and you had to fight through. You had to fight through an enemy armada, which consisted of an aircraft carrier. I want to say like 2 destroyers and another enemy battleship. And the aircraft carrier would launch aircraft at you to try to shoot you down. And the other ships would be firing obviously their cannons at you. And after a matter of time, they would have judged the distance correctly and hit your battleship and sunk it. You had to shoot down the enemy planes and also target the enemy ships with your own cannons. And so you had to guess, like, how you would raise your cannons up a certain distance. Like, you had to get the angle correct so that the shots would hit the enemy ships and sink them. After that, I think you landed on the beach and you had to drive a tank around. But I might be confusing that with Raid Over Moscow. How do I remember Raid Over Moscow? Wow. Anyway, you would take your tank after you made the beachhead, and you would drive through. I think you would drive up the island, and you would make it to the center part of it, which had a fort, and the fort consisted of this massive cannon, and your tank had to shoot out all the lights in these windows in the cliff face, and afterwards, the cannon would be destroyed. But you were on a time limit. The cannon would be slowly turning towards you. And if it took too long, it would then face down and annihilate your tank. I remember it being almost impossible to beat the game with one single life. Usually it would take me 3 or 5 lives. That ending cannon was really tough to kill. But there was an action game we played. Me and my brothers also played versus games. One such game was Spy vs. Spy. The soundtrack to that game has been remixed dozens of times, and every single one of them is wonderful. The game is either you versus a single computer opponent, or you versus someone else. And I can't think of a better game to teach you how important it is that you cheat and look at your enemy's screen at all times if it's visible. The games had... So if you see what we're seeing right now, the game, it showed both players' screens on the same computer screen. So we would see what our character is seeing, and below it we would see... Well, actually, I guess White Spy was up on top, and Black Spy was bottom, if I recall correctly. Unless I'm wrong and it was the opposite. But you could see everything that they were doing. And so you kind of had to spy on what your opponent was doing. The objective of that game was to find the briefcase and then find the 4 things in the maze, like levels, that you needed to escape that level. You needed to find a tape, like a cassette tape. I hope people know what a cassette tape is. Oh man, some files, a record, and one other thing. Once you had all 4 objects in the briefcase, you then needed to find the escape door and leave. There were several different options available for difficulty, how tough you wanted the AI to be if you were fighting the AI, and whether or not you wanted the doorway to leave the map to be visible if you hadn't discovered all the objects, or to only display it if you had the briefcase and all the objects with you. The game was rather fun because you would spend a good deal of time setting up booby traps all over the place. Each trap required an object to be used from your inventory, which you had an unlimited amount of, if I recall correctly, and could be canceled if the person had the correct item in their hand to deal with the trap you had placed. So, for example, you could place this a pail full of toxins on top of a door. And if your opponent opened that door, uh-oh, he lived. I wasn't expecting that. If he opened that door, he would die. You get to see his angel float up into the sky, and then after like a minute, he would respawn. There was, if I recall correctly, there was a tripwire you could configure. You had to attach it to some object in the room, and then to the door. And when that door was opened, the tripwire would be sprung, and I think it was hooked up to a pistol. And you would fill your opponent full of bullets. It was awesome. Although it took some time to set up. There was a spring trap, so when someone would activate it, it would send them across the room. They'd slam into a wall and die. And me and my brothers would have lots of fun setting it off on purpose, because it could, not only would it send you across the room, but if it would fling you through a doorway, it would do that, and you would be propelled through another room. And we loved trying to find like a series of rooms, so we could watch ourselves be flung through like 3 to 5 different rooms in a row if we could do that. There was, I think, a standard bomb as well, and there was a timer you could set. You could set a time detonation in a room, and when the time expired, it would detonate and kill the person. You kind of needed to watch what your enemy was doing on screen at all times if you wanted to have a chance of getting past these booby traps. The tripwire and the pail could be set on doorways, and the bomb and spring would be set into objects. And to disarm the toxic pail, you had to find an umbrella stand and take an umbrella. And that would disarm the pail trap, and it would do nothing to you, and it would be permanently removed. But you would also, I think, lose the umbrella after you had used it. Anyway, that was a great game, or at least for the time. I wonder if they ever remade it, or if there's any newer versions of it. A game that was not so great was BC's Quest for Tires. A side-scrolling game I can't rightfully call the platformer. There were things you had to jump. So, a long time ago, there were these things called newspapers. And in these things, there was these things called comics. And as kids, you didn't care about these newspapers, but you cared about the comics that were in them. And so you would beg your parents to buy you these newspapers so you read the comics. And I think BC was the name of it. if I recall correctly, and it dealt with cavemen. And one of the cavemen would ride around on a unicycle, which consisted of these two pieces of wood, or this one piece of wood, and a stone wheel that it was driven through. And this video game, you played that guy. And you had to get... What were you... I think you were trying to save your wife? Or your girlfriend? Or maybe it was your pet brontosaurus? Is there really a difference? I think there's a big difference. Literally a big difference. In any case, you had to jump over rocks, avoid little pits, duck under... I think you had to duck under something. And there were certain areas... branches. There were tree branches you had to duck under. Yes, I remember. Holy crap. And there was one particularly annoying area where you had to time a jump. You had to be lifted up by this one, like, crow, which the wingspan of this bird was in no way great enough to lift you, but it was able to do so over this big pit that would end up showing up. And there were these two parts of the stage. You had to duck under stalactites and jump over stalagmites at one point, too. I think there were these two areas where you had to avoid being hit by a club, and you had to avoid a giant serpent. And you had to... The game... It was like a side scroller. It would move forward automatically, except for those two areas. And there were these little, like, turtles or rocks that would come... that would surface above the water for these two areas, these two parts of the game. So you not only had to time jumping on them, but you had to time it such that you weren't hit by this club that this girl was wielding, or bitten by the snake as it popped out of a hole. Four wolves, no treasure. There are so many wolves out here. We're not going to even fight them. We're so close to the city. We just want to get back to the city and have our quest completed. A much better game than BC's Quest for Tires was Mule. M-U-L-E. And I used to... what does it stand for? Mechanical? I'm positive it stood for something. And it was an amazing game. It could be up to 4 players with two people using joysticks and 2 people using the keyboard. And me and all my brothers would play it together. You picked an alien race, and I don't think there was any difference between them, other than one of them started with less money, and one of them started with more compared to the other races, if I recall correctly. Flappers? Flappers started with $600 more. How do I remember this? And there was another race that started with less, but I can't remember. You were on... It played like a board game, actually. You were on a colony on another planet. And your objective was to help this colony prosper. But in addition, you wanted to be the lead of the colony, because you won, obviously, if that occurred. And you would arrive in the colony with a certain amount of money, and you would... the game was played in turns. Hold on. The game was played in game terms, and every single player had their own game turn for... oh, my goodness, I'm messing this up. It's a complex game. Okay, what happens? The colony ship arrives. It lands. You all get off the ship. It shows how much money you have, how much goods you have, and what their value was. What your land was worth? And that was your total, I think. The next thing that happened is the land claim phase occurs. During this phase, there's a cursor that starts in the upper left-hand corner and goes to the right across the screen at a certain speed. And after it, so it would start up here, and it goes in this direction, and then it resets and goes in this direction, and so on. And it does that kind of quickly, And when it is over a plot of land that you want, you would hit your button to indicate, that's mine. And the game would randomly decide who gets a plot of land if multiple people selected that plot of land at the same time. The world you lived in, or that you existed in, consisted of, some of it was always the same. There was the center colony, and then there was this river that ran to the north and south of it. The rest of the land consisted either of clear space or mountainous areas. Different plots of land were better for doing certain types of activities on them. The river was the best for producing food. Empty plots of land was the best for producing energy, and mountainous areas were the best at producing this thing called smith's ore. Food, you needed food. If you didn't have the minimal amount of food for a turn, then the active amount of time you had to take your turn on your turn would be reduced. If you had no food, you would have like maybe 5 seconds to take your turn because you were starving to death. As opposed to, say, you had enough food, in which case I think your turn would be like 30 or 40 seconds or so before you ran out of time. Energy was used for your plots of land to produce whatever it was you had set them up to produce. You needed energy to run all of your mules. Mules were constructed based on the amount of smith's ore that the colony had in its storage. As it began to run out of smith's ore, the cost of mules would be increased. A strategy people would use, me and my brothers, would be to buy a mule, run outside of the colony of it, and release it, reducing the number of mules there and increasing their cost to the future, making smith's ore more valuable. The colony started with a certain amount of various resources, but could run out, in which case the demand for resources would increase. So it taught you a little bit about supply and demand as a kid. If there was no food, for example, the colony would offer like quite a bit, like $60, $70 for each speck of food, and people who had food didn't have to sell it. Anyway, after the land choosing was done, you would then each take your turns in order of the player who was doing best to the player who was doing the worst. The two best players could have, and probably would have, two bad events occur to them. The two players who were in third and fourth place would probably have good events occur to them. And unfortunately, everyone, we are out of time. We're done. We have arrived back at the city. We turned to the city. We got 800 bucks of bounty and 10,000 gold pieces. Well done, great warrior. You have procured my item for me. For your efforts, I hereby grant to you 10,000 gold pieces. Good work. And then we can stash all 10,800 bucks. And that's it. We won. All right. And darn it, I had like another 50 games to talk about. But maybe instead of talking about them, we'll play a few of them. And maybe we'll upload a few of these. Might be fun to remember what these are like. Alright, anyway, so thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for putting up with me babbling on. This was a rather long episode, but I don't think you guys hopefully minded too much. Alright, so that was a game of Warrior Ras 3 The Wylde. I might play this again 10 years from now for my channel, assuming that I'm still alive, that I still have a home and a computer, and that YouTube still exists, of which there is no guarantee any of these things will be the case. In any case, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully it was entertaining or educational, and I will see you guys in the next video, whatever that will be. I'll probably record at least one more different C64 game. Alright, well, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.